Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
And here is some good advice that I read about this morning. Surround yourself with what you love, whether it's your family, pets, keepsakes, music, plants, hobbies, whatever. Your home is your refuge. Love it and enjoy it. Amen. Right now, here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America on a Monday. Good morning, Patriots. Call in with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning. I'm Zeb Bell, and welcome to Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations, making sure that you're ready for more wintertime driving. And, of course, some of our great advertisers, like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Let them help you get back to being you. Call for an appointment today. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 678-1191. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our first Patriot of the week on with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Well, good morning, sir.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well
done, my friend. And right now, let's go to the weather forecast. And the weather brought to you by K&R Rental, 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn on the Burley-Paul Highway. Good morning, Roger and the crew. They've got all the tools, and this isn't brag, this is fact. They've got all the tools and equipment to get the job that you need done correctly. That's right. They've got all the big name brand tools. They've got the experience. They've got the knowledge. They can help you, and they will. All you have to do is call or stop in. 678-3122 K&R Rental. Right now, here's the weather.
We are expecting some precipitation this week. Here is your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch. We are looking at mostly cloudy skies today. A little bit on the breezy side. Winds around 10 miles an hour out of the east. High of 48. Tonight, we do have an 80% chance of rain showers in the forecast of about 36. That's going to carry over for tomorrow with a high of 46. Rain and snow showers likely for tomorrow night. It's going to be breezy as well. Low of 30. And that might carry over for Wednesday. Breezy, slight chance of maybe snow showers and mostly sunny skies for Wednesday afternoon with a high of 37. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. And, of course, brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn, right there on the Burley-Paul Highway. And contact them for all the information on available tools and equipment. And also, you can fill out online estimates. That's right, for the rentals that you need. So take care of it. Get a hold of them today. K&R Rental in Hayburn, 678-3122. Good morning to you and yours, and give us a call. Let's really have a jam-up week with a lot of great phone calls at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Want to remind you, too, about our friends at Daryl's Cleaners. Hello, Kevin. Hello, Cindy. About every other week, about 2 weeks, I go in there and drop off a great big bag of Rumply Crumplies, whether it might be my shirts or my Wranglers cleaners or whatever, you just stop in anytime, all the time, and look and watch at the wonderful job they do on your clothes. They'll come back to you looking brand spanking new. Stop in today. And don't forget, they're located at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. The best cleaners in the universe. Daryl's Cleaners in Burley. Wow, a lot of things going on. Nice story in the Times News. Give credit where credit is due. And a nice story in the Times News this morning about a great young athlete in this area, Keegan Duncan from Declo. Wow. This boy is a football player. I don't want to say boy, young man. And I'll guarantee you, I've seen a lot of video of him, and he can go play anywhere for anyone. And I was very, very impressed with him. Keegan Duncan, great football player, and quite a story in the Times News this morning, so congratulations. You deserve that. By the way, also we want to say thank you to Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. The number to call is 678-0459 for all of your heating, cooling, and electrical needs. So many times I have called them, and whether we've had problems with some of our electrical or some of our heating, whatever, they are there to serve you. Please get a hold of them today or stop in. They're open 7:30 to 5, Monday through Friday, and they're located at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, and they'd love to see you. For all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs, it's Ramsey Heating and Electric. All right, your turn. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I do not know your feelings about Donald Trump and this administration. I am assuming that most of this area is conservative by nature and supportive of the big changes that have been taking place for us through this administration. But I have reached the point where I'm going to call these people what I think they are, that are on the left. They are complete thugs, they are punks, and they are malicious as far as what they're trying to do to this country and what they're trying to do to malign this administration. Totally disgusting, totally disrespectful, including ESPN, that sports channel network. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. But right now, caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hey, isn't it amazing, these people that are claiming that Trump is unfit, incompetent, mentally unable? They're the same ones that think there's more than two genders.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really true. That's a very, very good way to put it. The hypocrisy and the lunacy on the left, excuse me, it's got to the point, Doug, that something has got to stop here in this country, because now, did you happen to read that article, that op-ed that was in the Times News this morning, put out by Jennifer Rubin of the Washington Post? It was 3 huge columns of nothing but bashing the president, bashing his intelligence, bashing his what she called ineptness. And let me just read you the last paragraph of this story, and we'll comment on that. She said, quote, "We're playing with fire, counting on the ability of others to restrain him," meaning Trump, "from launching a nuclear war, and nearly as bad, jettisoning our representative democracy. Vice President Mike Pence, the cabinet, and the Congress have a moral and constitutional obligation to bring this to a stop." Wow.
That's ridiculous. Did you happen to hear or watch that Sunday night, that Wise Guys on Fox?
I did not.
That Korsowitz, I can't think of what his first name is. He made a comment that was it hit the nail right on the head. He says, "We are educating a generation of leaders who cannot handle a controversial conversation.
I agree with that. I totally agree with that.
He says the left needs to stand up, the right needs to stand up for free speech. We need to fight this together because the far left is trying to take over this country and stifle it.
Well, the far left, the Democrats and the liberals, are distorting facts and distorting truths. Number one, let's start with what you mentioned when you called in this morning. There are only two genders, male and female. The rest is all garbage, idiocy, and absolute lunacy.
That's a fact. It is. And that's their platform. That's what they want to run on. I mean, I think somebody who thinks that wants to identify as a cat or something else.
Yeah.
I think those people need to be looked at psychiatrically.
Well, we have kidded on this program a lot during the course of the years, but it's far more than kidding. It's serious. A lot of these people on the left, the millennials, and some of these professors, so-called professors, that are teaching in higher education institutions, whether it be Harvard or whether it be USC or whether it's Berkeley, have come out and absolutely destroyed the image of what's right and what's wrong in this country. And they have got a great big can of gray paint, and they've painted everything gray, and that's not how society is.
Exactly. That's exactly it. And these kids that are in college now who think they need, if somebody talks the truth or their feelings and it's not aligned with theirs, that they need safe spaces and they need to be stopped. They need to think about that because the shoe could be on the other foot. Well, it has been.
When you and I were in school, and I'm not even going to joke about any of this stuff this morning. I'm so irate about it. When you and I were in school, there were absolutes. The absolutes were as follows. There is male and female. The absolutes, there are right and wrong ways to approach any problem. The absolutes are that we need moral value in this country to keep and maintain a respect. And that is all being diminished by the stupid liberal democratic left.
Exactly. And it really took traction when at the Democratic convention they denounced God.
That is right.
And that right there, it says in the Bible, if you turn your back on me, I turn my back on you.
And I've made this statement, and I don't care who's offended by this, because this is a talk show of opinions, and quite frankly, I'm not going to back up on mine. I have offered to have the left or the Democrats come on this program anytime, all the time, whatever they want to do. And you know that, Doug, because you've heard me on the air say and welcome these people to call in and discuss their platform. They are a party of cowards.
They are. They are. I don't understand how they can think that way. I mean, I try to rationalize what they say, and figure out where they're coming from and why they're thinking like that. And I can't get there.
Well, you look at what's going on in Atlanta tonight. The NAACP is going to be protesting the president being there for the championship game between Georgia and Alabama. And they're going to be wearing black. They're going to be doing all this to denigrate the activities, etc. Whoa! Back up about maybe a month ago, Dougie. Who was really helping the NAACP and the blacks in this country with various functions and modes of change in government? It happened to be the Trump administration.
Exactly. And that NAACP needs to look at the statistic that just come out on black unemployment is the lowest it has ever been since they started keeping track of it.
Yeah, I mean, I have nothing more to say other than I'm just shocked, and I am absolutely on the attack against what's going on in this country. The disgusting and disrespectfulness that's going on. Did you hear that ESPN show? It was on, they showed a tape of it, but they had to bleep most of it out. There were two guys and a girl talking about sports, and the woman, the language that had to be bleeped out because of her attitude and filthy mouth was absolutely, it was beyond reproach.
I bet her mom and dad's real proud of her.
Oh, it's sickening what's going on the left. And then this book that's being written, has been written by Michael Wolff, the book called The Fire and the Fury. They've already found out that many or most of the instances in that book are lies and nothing more than the author's perceptions. And he admitted that on page 3.
Yep. But yet, the left, the mainstream media and the left has jumped on this wagon and trying to just drive it across the finish line.
Yeah.
This is why they're trying to say Trump is incompetent. It's really sad when a party like the Democrats, the only thing they have is to denounce the person, not his policies.
Yeah, I am, and I mean this, Doug, I am looking forward to the races that are going to happen this year in the midterm elections, because I am going to unleash my own, if you will, fire and fury against those within the region and the state, because I know some of their doctrines, I know some of their personalities, and believe me, this junkyard dog has jumped over the fence.
I'll be right there with you, buddy.
All right. Thanks, Doug.
And what I like, too, is how since that tax cut, there's been almost $1 billion in bonuses handed out.
Yep. That's right. And what does that money do, Doug?
It stimulates the economy. It helps
there you go.
middle class. It helps everybody.
Absolutely. Got to run. Got another call. Doug, thank you so much.
Okay. Hey, guys, let's take care of our senior centers.
Absolutely.
We can.
Thank you, Doug. Hey, caller, I'll be right there. Don't forget Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland and Burley, and the other location at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Oh, my. Thomas and the rest of the crew really serving you the best of breakfast and lunches and dinners anytime, all the time at America's Diner. We have our monthly Zeb's Lunch Bunch right there, and the food is fantastic, and the people that work there are so nice. Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland and Burley, 291 Pole Line in Twin Falls, America's Diner. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb, and Happy New Year.
Thank you, sir.
What lots of people aren't realizing is that if the desperate ever get back into power again, this economy would collapse, and we'd be in worse condition than the 8 years we had under that major blunderer, Barack Obama. And there'd be more demonstrations in the streets, there'd be more violence in this country. They don't appreciate what a person like, a brilliant person like Donald Trump has done to rescue this country.
Well, let me ask you this. Here's a guy that was an outstanding businessman, a billionaire with a B, and extremely well-versed in the art and science of making deals for profit. And all of a sudden, because now he's president of the United States, the left is saying that he's mentally incompetent. What goes here?
Well, the left has been crushed. They don't know what to do when they're facing somebody that can do something that they couldn't do in 8 or 10 years.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
This is what the whole problem is.
And you look at some of the left that are a hierarchy of the Democratic Party, Tony, like this Ellison from Minnesota, a Muslim, and coming out and showing himself holding a book from Antifa that advocates all kinds of unruliness and literal warfare in this country. What kind of people are in the Democratic Party?
Well, they're subversive. It's a subversive organization. And you've got people like, what's her name, Nancy Pelosi, who's suffering from dementia. And then you've got another guy like Schumer, who is an enemy of the United States, trying to bring him down. And you've got people that are like a bunch of sheep that are following these two people.
I agree with you. Always good to hear from you, my friend. We must get together and break bread around the table and say hello to Mary for us.
And we will come up there to visit you. We'll go out up there.
All right, buddy. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Bye.
Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I know a place in Burley, and I had a call, I think it was on Friday, from some really nice people in the Burley area, and they said, what's the name of that place that you talk about for senior living? And I said, Pomerel Place. And they go, yeah, that's it. Tell us more. And I said, well, they're located at 1301 Bennett Street in Burley, and really, they offer the ability for seniors to maintain their independence both safely and comfortably. So please call and check it out. Wonderful people, and believe me, I've been there, took a tour of the place, absolutely first class. Living at home and the risk that seniors face, no more. If you're at Pomerel Place, a place for senior living, 1301 Bennett Street in Burley. The number to call, 677-8212. Also, I want to remind you about our dear friends at Dino's Septic Service. You know, I don't recall exactly how we became familiar with them, but they came over, did a job for us, and wow, fast, fair, friendly service, all of that and more. And they do a job that you and I don't want to do. No, you don't want to be out there pumping a septic service. No, you call them. Septic tanks pumped, and water and sewer lines installed, and sewer and sink drain lines cleaned, liquid waste removal. They do it all. And they've got that big truck that says, Smells Cargo, on the way to help you. Dino's Septic Service in Rupert, 436-6526, Burley, 678-1638. You call them today. All right, give me a call right now at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. This column that was in the newspaper this morning, headed up by Jennifer Rubin, you talk about somebody that is so biased and so hateful and so disrespectful of the president and this administration. It's Jennifer Rubin. She and I highlighted a lot of some of the garbage that she had written about this morning. She said, what comes from his fears and impulses is whatever aides are able to piece together that might satisfy his emotional spasm of the moment without endangering the country. Wow. And then she said, he's incapable, talking of Trump, he's incapable of processing real information and driven by an insatiable need for praise and reaffirmation. Woo! Really? He's incapable of processing real information. Here is a man that, whether you like him or not, a billionaire, multi-billionaire, and real estate tycoon, he didn't get there by being dumb, ignorant, and a lack of intelligence. But when the lack of intelligence is passed on, those three words, lack of intelligence, it must go to the Democrats and the liberals with writing an article like this. And then she says, to defend his continued occupancy of the office, or to insist he's better than Hillary, is to reject the notion of democracy. We cannot accept, let alone applaud, courtiers scurrying, I bit my tongue twice, scurrying around to create the appearance of a functioning government. The appearance of a functioning government? They just passed a huge tax reform bill. All of America is reaping, yes, they are reaping the benefits of this. And the appearance of a functioning government? This woman is insane. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'm going to give away a dozen cookies to Sophie's Chatterbox. I bit my tongue twice, and it's a little sore right now. Sorry about that. Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert, and a delicious restaurant and an absolutely phenomenal bakery with all the cookies and the pies and the cakes and everything. Well, we're going to give away a dozen cookies to Sophie's Chatterbox if you can answer this question. And it's for first-time winners only, please, okay? This is an easy one this morning. Remember the television show, and I might have asked this in the past, I'm not sure, but I'll ask it again. Remember the television show Mr. Ed, the Talking Horse? What color was Mr. Ed? What color horse was Mr. Ed? Please give me a call at 436-22, and I'm going to be asking you to be exact and specific on this. What color horse was the horse on Mr. Ed, the Talking Horse? 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587 to win a dozen cookies from Sophie's Chatterbox. Give us a call real quick. I'd like to hear from you. While I'm waiting for your call on what color horse Mr. Ed was, first-time callers only, please. Whoa, that didn't take long. Good morning. You're on the air. Who is this?
It's Riley.
Riley, have you ever won before?
No, I haven't.
Well, what's the color of the horse, my friend?
Palomino, wasn't it?
Yep, and Riley Helms, you are the winner, and just call Sophie's and tell them when you're going to be over there to get your cookies, okay?
All right, thanks.
You're very welcome, sir. Thank you. Yep, Mr. Ed was a Palomino. And as a matter of fact, that leads me in to tell you something you don't want to miss. On Wednesday this week, I'm going to have a gentleman by the name of Bob Terry on my program at 10:30. And he is the CEO of Wild West Toys down in Texas, and also the founder and president of Westerns on the Web Productions. And he really studies all the old Westerns and the horses and the cowboy actors and everything. And I think you'll find this really interesting. Bob Terry is going to be on the air with us Wednesday at 10:30 on this program. Don't miss that. It's going to be a lot of fun. So congratulations to Riley Helms, and right now we also want to tell you about Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. My, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. The number to call for you to get an appointment and them to help you get back to being you. 678-1191. 678-1191. Nick Greenwell and all the physical therapists there, I'm telling you they are the best. I'm telling you they know all the exercise. I'm telling you they've got the only hydrotherapy pool of its kind in the area. They are the best. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, helping you get back to being you. You give them a call today, 678-1191. All right, you give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Love to hear from you right now. Let's see what else have we got in the news here this morning. Let's see. Oprah Winfrey. There were a lot of comments made at the Golden Globes that maybe Oprah might try to be president in 2020. Now, I'm going to ask the ladies in the audience right now, those that might have followed her television show, those that might have followed her with all of her granting of various financial wishes around the country, and those that know that Oprah is one of the wealthiest women of all time. What are your thoughts about the possibility of Oprah Winfrey running for the Democratic nomination in 2020 for president? I really would like to hear from some of the ladies and their reasons pro or con about Oprah Winfrey maybe being one of the flag bearers for the Democratic Party. Give me a call at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'll give you my opinion after I hear from some of the ladies. I'm going to turn it over to them first because I'd like to hear what they have to say. While I'm waiting for your call, come on, I know we got some really sharp ladies out there in the audience. I'd like to hear their opinion on Oprah Winfrey. today, I'd like to talk to you about urgent care. 3 locations to serve you and your family, and for that matter, your business too. The Riverview Urgent Care at 382 North Overland in Burley, and Urgent Care of Jerome at 133 West Avenue A in Jerome, and Urgent Care of Twin Falls, 2392 Addison Avenue East. They provide so many services for the families, whether it's being that somebody got a cut with laceration, they need stitches, or a sprain, a strain, or whatever the care might be. And then also for the businesses like DOT physicals, drug screening, etc. Please get a hold of them today. You get treated, not seated. No appointment necessary at the urgent cares. Riverview Urgent Care in Burley, Urgent Care of Jerome, and Urgent Care of Twin Falls. Serving you. All right, come on, ladies, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I really would like some lady in the audience. Give me your opinion on Oprah Winfrey as maybe a presidential nominee. Give me a call. Tonight, the championship collegiate football season comes to an end as we see Alabama and Georgia vie for the national championship. And I have never cheered for Georgia, but I am now. I do not like Alabama. I do not like Nick Saban. And I would love to see the championship held by the University of Georgia. It's going to be a great game. And former Georgia great Herschel Walker, oh my goodness, that man, after all these years being away from sports and football, the neck on that guy, still about a 27-inch neck, and built like a brick. And he was on television this morning, and a very strong advocate of Donald Trump. He has helped Donald Trump on various and sundry means and methods during the campaign, and also serving and assisting this administration currently. And very, very nice man, and had a lot of good things to say about President Trump coming to the championship game tonight. And I think this would really be something. There are rumors that Donald Trump may be on the field tonight in the pregame for the national anthem. And I don't think you're going to see anybody take a knee tonight. No, if he is there, everybody's going to be standing tall and proud for this great United States of America when that anthem is played. I think it'd be great. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call, please. However, going back to what we mentioned a little bit ago, the NAACP planning huge protests outside the stadium, and then also huge protests inside the stadium for the football game. Why? What is the NAACP not getting? What are they not being heard? What event or what topic is not being addressed? Why all these protestations? Why all the negative? Why all the filthy-mouthed happenings from the network, some of the network leadership, if you want to call it that, on various news shows? Enough is enough. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, wealth isn't enough to make you president of the United States. When I heard this about Oprah Winfrey, I'd like to know who's backing her. Is it the likes of Whoopi Goldberg, Barack Obama? Are we going to have a one-party system with this woman in there?
Well, let me back up.
Who's she going to be on?
Let me back up to what you started to say. Wealth is not, I don't remember exactly how you said it, wealth is not a prerequisite to be the president of the United States. Well, then there are those that could turn around and say, well, that's the same with Trump. However, I think Trump, with his business mentality, I'll say it that way, and his organization skills has proven that he was a good choice for the presidency to get America back on its feet economically again, and it's working. Oprah Winfrey, honestly, the warm fuzziness that she tries to portray, and in answer to your question as to who's supporting her, I would say all of the above.
You know, Donald Trump is a brilliant person. He has dealt with the brightest, the toughest, the hardest individual on this planet, and he's come out on top. So who would you rather have, Oprah Winfrey or Donald Trump?
Well, you know, Tony, there's another aspect to be talked about there. It's not who I would really want to have, but I'm really concerned as to the seriousness of the Democratic Party. And when you have somebody like Keith Ellison from Minnesota that is advocating Antifa and holding up books in support of chaos in the streets and riots in the streets and warfare within our streets, this guy, unfortunately, is the number 2 man in the Democratic Party. What does that tell you?
Well, where did he get his wealth from? What country gave him the opportunity to become wealth? And why in the hell would he want to tear it down? This is how stupid that man is.
Keith Ellison, I think, is absolutely the epitome of fear for me. He represents a large faction of people coming into this country that I think are very, very unstable in their mindset and very unstable as to what and who they're going to support. And for him to hold up a magazine of Antifa, a catalog of chaos, I think that this man should be absolutely drilled out of the Democratic Party.
Well, they should. You know, right now, we're on a seesaw as far as I'm concerned. It wouldn't take much to bring this country down.
No.
And thank God for Donald Trump.
Well, the way that the left is approaching his mental status and the criticism and critique of his administration and the continuing foul-mouthed language that they use all the time, and I mean all the time, whether it's in newspapers, TV, radio, it doesn't make any difference. There is a total disrespect in this nation, and honestly, Tony, I don't think it's going to change.
Well, I'll tell you, I kind of go along with what you just said. You're going to have crowds like the welfare bunch taking these cities over, and pretty soon we're going to have foreigners in our city council running our mayorships.
Yeah.
And I'm really concerned about where this country's headed.
Well, I am too, and I'll tell you, there's another Democrat that was on TV a lot this weekend, and that was that Jamu Green that was running for, at one time, the head of the Democratic Party, and she came right out when asked if there should be drug testing for those that are drawing welfare in this country so that we can eliminate a lot of the welfare fraud. She said, absolutely not, that's not fair. And I about fell out of my lazy boy. Not fair. We need to discern who is really rightfully getting welfare in this country, and if they're getting our money and our checks and they're using it for ill means of using for drug abuse, throw the bums out.
Well, the person that wrote that book about America being the next slum is totally correct.
Yeah.
And that's where we'd be heading if something happened to Donald Trump and the Democrats took over.
I agree with you. I still would like some of the ladies to give me a call and talk to me about Oprah, and she scares me. She really does scare me, and I think, like you said, there's a lot of people behind her, whether it's Soros, whether it's Obama, whether it's Mama Obama. There's a lot of people that I think have got a cancerous growth that are pushing her in the background. Tony, God bless you, man. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Zach.
All right, buddy. Thanks a lot. Calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. Why don't we have the weather forecast on right now? Gina mentioned that maybe at midweek we might get a little snow. I don't want any more snow. I just barely got the ice melted at various locations where I crashed and burned last week. Hey, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids brings you the weather. with the lovely Dr. Christine Pickup, right behind the Minidoka Hospital across from the emergency room, and I urge you to call and get a hearing screening. And if you're having a little trouble hearing, she can and she will help. She's been an audiology doctor for the past 10 years, and the best. Call them at 312-0957, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And right now, here's the weather.
We are expecting some precipitation this week. Here is your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch. We are looking at mostly cloudy skies today, a little bit on the breezy side. Winds around 10 miles an hour out of the east, high of 48. Tonight, we do have an 80% chance of rain showers in the forecast of about 36. That's going to carry over for tomorrow with a high of 46. Rain and snow showers likely for tomorrow night. It's going to be breezy as well, low of 30, and that might carry over for Wednesday. Breezy, slight chance of maybe snow showers and mostly sunny skies for Wednesday afternoon with a high of 37. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Good job, Gina. Thank you very much. And brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids with Christine Pickup, Doctor of Audiology, and her whole staff, saying to you, make an appointment. Come on in and get your hearing checked at 312-0957, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Okay. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Please give me a call. I would love to talk to you. So give us a jingle on the landline. And I want to also remind you, get your public service announcements to me. I mentioned this last week, and we're developing various segments on this program. And we're going to take some time, at least on a couple of times during the course of the week, to try to get all your public service and your fundraisers on the air. So send them to zebattheranch@hotmail.com. Zeb at the Ranch, first four words, Zeb at the Ranch, and then the @ sign, hotmail.com. And we'll get them on the air for you. While I'm waiting for your call, I want to remind you again about Berry Equipment and Rental. Hello! We talked to these good folks last week on Thursday. Went on the air on Friday, Zeb, on Thursday. And they do a wonderful job in 3 locations: South Lincoln and Jerome, Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. All your equipment rentals, retail equipment sales, all of this and so much more. They've got all the Bobcats. They've got all the shapes and sizes of the Bobcats, new and used. You just be sure and get a hold of them today. They are the best. South Lincoln and Jerome, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, and Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls. Berry Equipment and Rental. They have the equipment to get the job done right. Okay, your turn. Give me a jingle, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Oh, my goodness. What do you think about the Dreamers in the United States? There are many thousands of them that were brought here by their families, or their families came here illegally, simply put, and had their children, and now they want, they being the left, they want to make sure that they can stay here, which would be also kind of a chain-keeping migration of families, Aunt Martha, Uncle Fred, Grandma and Grandpa, and everything else. Where do you draw the line on illegals, and why should there be an amnesty for DACA, the Dreamers, if you will, simply put? And I agree with Donald Trump that there has to be some negotiation on this. The Democrats want the Dreamers to stay. Okay, maybe we can construct a deal here where you give me the money funding for the wall and we tighten border security, or the DACA members get sent to their former country. What are your thoughts on this? We're going to be talking to Frosty Woldridge about this in about 30 minutes, so don't go away. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, regarding this subject, Zeb, they talk of these Dreamers, it's not their fault for what their parents have done. However, when it comes to reparations, we are at fault for what our forefathers did. Where's the sense in that?
You know what? And I'm going to tell Wheels to turn up the caller. Wheels, you got to monitor that a little bit. I think you said that where's the sense in allowing the Dreamers to stay here, and then repeat the last part of that again.
Well, to me, it doesn't make sense, because when it comes to reparations, they want us to pay for what our forefathers did.
Yeah.
But with the Dream children, they aren't responsible for what their parents have done.
You know, your point is so well taken. And let me ask you this. How old are you? I don't mean to be rude, but this is important. How old are you?
I'm 60.
All right, well, I'm 70. And I am really afraid that within my lifetime, as long as the good Lord lets me stay on this earth, we are going to see a forced reparation of monies paid back to various groups and individuals for sins that took place perhaps over 200 plus years ago. That is really scaring me with some of the things I've read about and studied in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's scary. I mean, it doesn't make sense either.
Well, your point is one of the best points that I've heard. As far as the Dreamers are concerned, yes, some of them might be very important as scientists or doing work with agriculture, etc. But many of them are hazards to the point where they've been in the jail system, they've been arrested, they don't have jobs, they are leeches on the society, and I am in favor of everybody that is illegal is out of here.
And I'm right behind you. Thanks, Zeb.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Excellent thought. You know, the left is always saying, well, you've got to pay for your sins of your forefathers. Why? You know, bluntly put, slavery in its connotation, its meaning, and the word itself is wrong. But let's just simply not forget, folksies, that at that time in history, 250, 60 years ago, it was an accepted practice. Now, in 2018, we are to pay for the sins of some generation that long ago that used that as an accepted practice? No. It is wrong today and should be acknowledged as such, but not paid for. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. That gentleman was spot on, and I appreciate that. Don't forget the 7 locations of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, my, you think you're out of the woods? Look at the clouds that are over there on the north side of the rim right now. Woo-hoo. Looks a little gnarly out there. Well, we're not done with wintertime driving. We're not done with the snow and the ice and the muck and the yuck. And they have, at all 7 locations of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all the traction tires that you need to get safely down the road. Absolutely. They've got all the tire chains. They've got the best in brake service. They've got I mean that, boy. They've got some sharp, sharp individuals. And the best in front end alignment, shocks and struts, and batteries. All of this for winter time driving. Stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. Doing the right thing matters. And they do the right thing at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. I've got time for one more call. I would love to have one more call. Give me a jingle at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Big game tonight. College football comes to an end, and I love college football. I love college basketball more so than I do pro basketball. A lot more. And Georgia is going to be trying to take apart and dethrone Alabama. And go Dogs. Georgia, I hope, will win that game. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Can you imagine the security? And I was thinking about this earlier this morning, for the president to be on the floor of that stadium tonight and in the Georgia Dome, or the new Georgia Dome, if you will, and for the playing of that national anthem, the security and the absolute support, I think, that will be shown for our president, even though the NAACP is doing their best to denigrate his being there. And I guess they're going to have towels that they're passing out for everybody to wave, which shows that they're against Donald Trump. Oh, a bunch of malarkey and balderdash. There's another word I wanted to use, but I can't on the radio. But I just absolutely am very impressed. I'm trying to get the gentleman that used to be a Secret Service officer, Dan Bongino. I'm trying to get him on our program, and hopefully I can make contact with his office tomorrow. And I'd love to get him on the air to talk about all the different things that have to be looked at as far as security in general for a president of the United States. And we're going to talk about that hopefully in the next couple of days. Anyhow, right now I'm going to take a little break, and I'm going to turn it over to the big boys at the network to come in and mess everything up, and we'll be back at 9:06 with one of my favorite people, and that's Frosty Woldridge. And coming up after him, we got Brian Maloney coming on the program. 10:06, we're going to talk about health care with Jeff Cantor, and then security at 10:30 with Dan Perkins. A lot of good people coming up. Don't miss it. Zeb at the Ranch. I'll be back in about 7 minutes. Oh, here we go. Hour number 2. Zeb at the Ranch, and brought to you by, of course, our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and also some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Woo, boy, that hurt. And don't forget, let them help you get back to being you. Nick Greenwell and the crew at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Call for an appointment today at 678-1191. Right now, we're going to talk to you a little bit about garbage and getting rid of it. Let's have that jingle from Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
I think I'm going to get a dumpster, like I said, after the first of the year. Open the back window and just pitch and throw, pitch and throw, pitch and throw. Get rid of everything. Man, this office is really getting smaller. Anyhow, they can help you with all the different size dumpsters. All you need to do is give them a call today. 734-6969. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. You get a hold of them today. Really nice people. I am blessed to have this gentleman be a part of our program. I can't even remember. I'm going to ask him because I think he's been on my show for well over 13, 14 years. And that's, of course, my dear friend from Golden, Colorado, Frosty Woldridge. Good morning, sir. How are you?
And good morning, Zeb, and Happy New Year to you and everyone listening, and Deanne and all of your families. I'm looking forward to 2018. For big changes that are going to benefit America, and I'm certainly looking for big changes to benefit you and your family and everyone listening across the United States and beyond to make 2018 a banner year for the United States of America and our citizens. And that, for me, is very important. And also, I wish well for all of the citizens of the world to do the best they can and to have good, positive experiences in life, and I'm thankful for that. And yes, we have been on. I think it's been 14 years now, and it's been really a treasure for you and me to speak together each week and try to really bring to light some of the things that are happening to our country, and hopefully give folks the ability to help change course by joining the organizations that I endorse so that we can make it a better country and a better future for our children. So it's a pleasure, Zeb.
In your listing just a moment ago of what you'd like to see for 2018, you made the comment about good luck, or if you will, good fortune, to those in other countries to try to make their country great. You know, that's the whole thing I don't see anymore. I don't see the pride by these other people in their own country, be it Mexico, be it Bolivia, be it Colombia, be it wherever. And I am sick and tired of the world looking at the United States to take everybody from those countries and try to put them in a situation here in this country where we, the American taxpayer, are going to support them. No, stay in your country, try to make your country better, or at least try to influence the political leadership to do a better job. Why are we going to be the sponge that absorbs everyone?
Well, and that's why I have called for a complete shutdown on all immigration into the United States now, and I've advocated that for well over 2 years. And as I've said many times, again, the third world chooses to add 80 million new babies net gain every year, and because they do, or because they can't help themselves, or because they refuse birth control, even from first world countries, then they need to deal with their choices. And in this life, it is about choices. And the United States is filled up. We cannot take on any more people. We're already in what is called overshoot. We are already in consequences of water shortages, certainly the energy crisis that we're facing, and or the consequences of pollution that come from massive use of energy, and also the exhaustion of the resources that make our civilization work. I actually just last week was put in touch with the senior editor, her name is Kelly McNally at Fox News, to get on Tucker Carlson. And also Thomas, his name is Thomas Fox, is one of the also senior editors for Tucker Carlson, and he said he liked my pitch. And if I get on Tucker Carlson or Jesse Waters on Fox News, I'm going to be saying the same thing that I've said to you and this audience now for the last 14 years, and that is we cannot continue on this path. Exponential growth always leads to collapse. Ultimately, it's just like a cancer cell. You allow a cancer cell to continue, and it will kill the host. If we allow endless immigration into our country, and in fact, last year it was 1.8 million. That was documented by Dave Gorick at the Coalition for Midwest Immigration. And that's 1.8 million more people we didn't need in this country. And again, we're trying to stop the chain migration and the diversity visas. We simply need to stop all immigration, period, because we simply can't sustain it.
You know, Frosty, I don't even know where to go on this because we've discussed this so many times, and the left continues to tell us that we're wrong. There are those on television this past weekend even when they were talking about immigration, and they were condemning you and I and others of our ilk, saying, oh, these anti-immigration people. The United States is wide open. It's a bastion for freedom. It's a bastion for hope. Let everybody come in. Why in the world aren't they standing up and really being realistic? Because whether it's the environment, whether it's business, whether it's job availability, whether it's education, whatever, the infrastructure in this country is just about maxed out.
Well, that's true. And notice they don't ever invite me to speak in an interview with them, because I would intellectually demote them to a moron with the facts. And again, as I've said in the past, I've got the facts, and the facts don't lie. The facts are not racist. They're not xenophobic. They're not nativist. The facts are the facts. And I would challenge Jake Tapper or Jonathan Karl. I would certainly take Don Lemon on in a second over there at CNN. Morning Joe, why doesn't he have me on that show, and Mika Brzezinski? I guarantee you this, if I was on that show, there would be a whole new opening of a whole new can of worms on the realities we face with endless immigration into this country, the futility of it. And as a matter of fact, Australia right now is called Australia First. They are now publishing my 4-part series about the deadliest birth rates for all humanity. And the 4-part series has to do with the fact that Africa is going to go from 1 billion to 2 billion, and before the end of the century, 4 billion. And India is going to go from its current 1.25 billion to well over 1.55 billion. And, of course, China is going to continue to grow at 8 million net gain. They're going to get 1.5 billion, and their citizens are all flooding into Canada and flooding into America because they're simply so overloaded that their quality of life and their pollution rates are just off the charts, and so they're all flooding into America. Why don't they stop that? Why doesn't Morning Joe interview me with the facts on that, or any of the rest of them? Well, because they don't want to deal with the facts. They want to deal with emotions, and emotions are not going to solve the problem. And that's the reality we're sitting with right now.
You know, Frosty, your latest piece that just came out called The United States Morphing into a Lawless Country. Whoa, I read that. It's an excellent piece. But, you know, the headline basically sums up a fear that we all need to realize and be able to see. We are morphing into a lawless country. We're morphing into a decision by Antifa as to whether they're going to cause a violent reaction at a meeting. We're morphing into the millennials burning down a university because they don't like a conservative speaker. You are spot on this morning.
Well, thank you. And you all can see that United States morphing into a lawless country on News with Views. You can also see it on Capitol Hill Outsider. You can see it on Freedom's Phoenix. And the key here is that Jerry Brown, in literally the early hours of 2018, turned the state of California, which is totally broke, which is having unbelievable crime waves. Schools are being degraded just like they were in Detroit, Michigan, to the point where it's now a lawless state, because it's become a sanctuary state. All of rapists and all of the burglarists, all of the illegal aliens that are tapping into all of the food stamps and the Section 8 housing, they're breaking California, and they're in some unbelievable choice of lawlessness there, because they're actually legalizing lawlessness. Same thing for Chicago. Chicago is a sanctuary city. It's got 511,000 illegal aliens in that city, and they're immune from state and federal laws. And then when you go beyond that, as I said in this piece, folks, no one realizes this, but the illegal aliens and immigrants, legal immigrants in this country, and all of the poor are shoplifting. Get this number: $136 million daily, $50 billion a year, shoplifted out of our stores across this country, and you pay the difference. You and I pay the difference when we have to go in there as honest American citizens and pay for our goods. We got to pay for that extra money that's being stolen out of those mercantile stores across, whether it's a Safeway, or whether it's the King Soopers, or whether it's a Kroger, or whatever, Publix or City Market. Doesn't make any difference. Or they're going into Kohl's, or they're going into places like Home Depot, or whatever they're going through, Target stores. They're stealing all that stuff to the tune of $136 million daily. Look it up. If you don't think that number's correct, check it out. It's $50 billion a year. Those are not Americans. Those are not people that are gainfully employed. Those are not people that are legally here. They're stealing us blind. And, of course, I also talk about the fact that $120 billion a year gets sent back to Mexico and Central and South America, and also to China and India in cash transfers. So we're being bled to death. And so then you have somebody like Mayor de Blasio in New York, and he's so proud of all his illegal aliens in his sanctuary city. Again, Los Angeles the same. Denver, Colorado the same. We are becoming a lawless society. Even that guy that was in Zerat was his name in San Francisco. He killed Kate Steinle with a handgun. He admitted it. And then the jury found him not guilty, and he's already going to be out of prison very soon for time served. even though he was a felon with a gun. That's lawlessness. And so here we have this all going on. And, of course, Barack Hussein Obama. Obama illegally broke federal laws by creating an illegal executive order that gave DACA, those 800,000 illegal alien children, a free pass. What else can I say? This whole article talks about all of this, and Zeb, we're the ones who are paying for it.
Well, and I want to go to one simple sentence that you had in your piece that I highlighted, and it really woke me up. Today, over 240 sanctuary cities invite and support lawlessness within America. That sentence alone, it's not just L.A., it's not just Minneapolis, it's not just Chicago, and it's not New York, but 240 cities are going against the law. They are supporting and basically hiding and shielding lawlessness within the confines of their city at the risk of the taxpayers and families that are trying to live there in peace. This is insane.
I would agree with you. It's not only insane, it is these mayors and city councils are committing felonies, and they're getting away without prosecution. Boulder, Colorado is one of them. You just go right on down the line across the country, and we're the ones paying the price. What if your daughter was Kate Steinle? Yeah. What if your children were at the Christmas party for San Bernardino? What if your kids were there in Orlando, Florida, at that nightclub that got shot up by that illegal, that immigrant that came in from a terrorist country?
Yeah.
You sit here and you wonder why these judges are stopping Trump from stopping immigrants coming in from Muslim countries that are blowing the place up. Where is the common sense in this country by the judiciary that's supposed to protect us? Because this country is a country of laws, and the laws are being mitigated. They're not being followed. They're certainly not being adjudicated, and we're the ones that are becoming the victims of it. We're either paying for it with our money and our hard work, or we're paying for it with our lives. This, to me, I don't understand, and I am very angry as an American citizen.
Well, let me ask you this, and you've touched on it in your article, that basically there is a wink and a nod for illegality in this country. I don't care if it's various industries, various forms of business or leadership of business. A wink and a nod. Oh, well, yeah, we know it's illegal, but we need the workers, so we're going to let them slide and get whoever they want. When are we going to have an adherence to law? If I get picked up for speeding in a 55-mile-an-hour zone and I'm doing 65, I should expect that the law says I'll get a ticket and maybe some points taken off my driver's license. But others in our society are saying, with a wink and a nod, it's okay to break the law.
Well, I can tell you this. I've been to a lot of third world countries where a wink and a nod is what happens, and those countries are utter failures. And there's no justice. Mexico, corruption is a mechanism by which a third world country operates. Let me make this really clear. Corruption is a mechanism by which a third world country operates. And Mexico is incredibly corrupt. You have to actually pay your postman, the person who delivers your mail. You have to bribe them to get your mail down there. You have to have your stamps stamped before they even at the post office, or you won't. They'll steal the stamps right off the gosh darn letter that you want to send home. That's the kind of corruption that's going. There's corruption at every level. The EPA doesn't exist in Mexico. People throw their cans of excess paint into the rivers, into the lakes. They don't care. Because why? They don't have the education. They don't have the personal or responsibility or accountability, and so everything's a wink and a nod. Well, as you let that kind of mechanism of corruption morph into the United States, McDonald's is getting away with hiring illegal aliens. Certainly Chipotle is. Hormel Foods, Tyson Chicken, Marriott Hotels, Holiday Inns, construction firms, they're all cheating the American people because they're allowing illegal aliens to work for them. They're forging all of the Social Security numbers. They're forging IDs. They're forging birth certificates. That means we're literally morphing into ourselves another third world country.
Yeah, but wait a minute.
We stop it by adhering to the law and adhering to the rules of the law, or we simply are going to see our country slip into a third world country. I mean, it's just that simple.
Okay, but wait a minute. There's another issue here, though, I think, other than just illegal immigrants. It's also the fault of our society, a gimme society. You want this? We'll give it to you. And we have lost the work ethic in this country for people to go out and form their own careers, form their own destiny, and work for something and earn it. So there is a problem with a lack of employment because people have lost their work ethic. How are we going to restore that?
Well, and I've said this many, many times, there are different groups of people that have no work ethic. I can tell you this, the Somalians that are coming in here, the 100,000 plus that are in Minneapolis, Minnesota, they have no work ethic. These people are tribes people that came off the savannas of Africa, and all they are is sucking up and utilizing all of the welfare. The MS-13 gangs that are in this country, and the figures are somewhere between 40 and 50,000 members, they don't have a work ethic. All they do is distribute drugs to our kids. Illegal aliens that come to this country, when they drive a car with no driver's license and no insurance, what do they do when they have an accident or get caught? They run from the accident. So when you start really looking at the consequences of losing the rule of law, you see that right now we're in a lot of trouble. And again, as I've said, $20 trillion in debt. You go right on down the line, and MS-13 gangs are giving our kids all these drugs. And I think I've said it, 13 teenagers die every hour from drug overdose. 13 every hour. Look it up, folks. 13 kids lose their lives to drug overdose because MS-13 gangs are sheltered by all of these sanctuary cities. I mean, I don't know what else you can say or do other than what are we waiting for? Why are we allowing the laws and the rules that make ourselves a civil society and a successful society to be abrogated or thrown out or totally ignored? Zeb, we're going to pay a very big price, and we're already paying for these sanctuary cities and this lawlessness that's creeping into our country.
You know, Frosty, real quick, give me this as a response, but whether it's Denver, Colorado Springs, it doesn't make any difference, Salt Lake City, Twin Falls, whatever. How can anyone in their right mind advocate becoming a sanctuary city to provide a haven, a safe haven for illegals that are here illegally and possibly also felons? I'm tearing my hair out trying to figure out where the common sense is.
Again, as anybody knows the adage, common sense is not so common anymore. As a farm boy in Michigan when I was a kid, you learned common sense because, if you peed on an electric fence, you sure got yourself a quick shock, and you're not going to do that again. So that's common sense. You don't put your hand into the machinery or you're going to lose a finger or a hand. So that's common sense. You got to feed the chickens if you want eggs. That's common sense. You learn that on the farm. You always open a gate, you close the gate so the cows don't get out. Well, we have generations of kids today that come out of the city and they don't have common sense they don't plug nickel. And so I'm not sure how we can regain common sense, and I certainly don't see how we're going to regain an electorate that is electing men and women into the Congress that it will do something for the American people. Because my two senators are doing something for the illegal aliens. They're doing something for the DACA kids. They're doing something for their parents. They're giving foreign aid away to countries that hate us and want to bomb us. And so I'm not sure that we have enough common sense for people to really maintain that common sense to represent us. So I'm not sure that we're going to actually survive this. And again, as I said, if we continue on mass immigration, we're not going to survive it. We'll simply continue to devolve into a third world country where common sense doesn't have any part of what we're doing as a society.
I couldn't agree more. Frosty, always good to talk to you, and believe me, I look forward to Mondays. Frosty Woolridge, Golden, Colorado. God bless you, my dear friend. Thank you so much.
And God bless you, Zeb and Deanna, and everyone listening. And we're going to do everything we can to regain our country. And those of us who still have common sense, let's vote for leaders that are going to advance America, advance the state of Idaho or Colorado or even California, if that's possible. We must participate in this constitutional republic, and I'm going to be there with you, shoulder to shoulder, Zeb.
Amen. Thanks, Frosty. Talk to you next Monday. God bless. Thank you so much. Frosty Woldridge, Golden, Colorado. Right now, I want to remind everybody about Ark Animal Hospital. The best. They are absolutely committed to making sure that your livestock, your pets, whether it's a dog, kitty, cat, whatever, or roping steers, horses, whatever, are healthy. They love them all. They take care of them all. Dr. Bill and the rest of the crew at Ark Animal Hospital, 750 21st Street, near Connection Credit Union in Hayburn. And the number to call, 678-1177. Remember that number. Serving you and your livestock. Ark Animal Hospital, 678-1177. It's true. They do have the warm hearts for the cold noses. Good people. By the way, I was talking to Jeff over at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More the other day, and as a matter of fact on Friday, and you know where they're located, at 459 Overland in Burley. Holy cow, they're having a great big special for you. Listen to this. Listen to this. Floor carpeting, carpet pad and installation for living room, hall, and 3 bedrooms, 80 square yards of carpet, 2 years interest-free, and they've got great prices on it. Listen to the standard carpet, $69 per month. Better grade carpet, $89 per month. And premium grade, oh yeah, the good stuff, $99 per month. You cannot find cheaper prices, and you will not find better locations to go to and shop for all your carpeting and flooring needs. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More, 459 Overland in Burley. You stop in and see them today. I heard you say something or try to say something. Good morning, my dear friend. What can I do for you?
Well, good morning, sir. Would you be able to repeat the number for Brian Maloney for me, please?
I will do that right now. It is 774-404-1462.
Alrighty, thank you, sir, so much.
Thank you very much. All right, calls are welcome and appreciated. We're going to have our next guest on the air momentarily, so stand by for that. While I have just a little interim here, I want to remind everybody about Let's Ride with our dear friends over at Let's Ride, and Nick and the whole crew serving you at 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 4. And if you don't have a snowmobile, you better stop in. They've got a great selection on that showroom floor. 4-wheelers, side-by-sides, everything for fun outside in southern Idaho. And all the great accessories. What an accessory department for anything and everything that you might need. And when you talk about a service department, they've got the best service department around, anywhere keeping you running. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. This is the place where the fun is sold. Absolutely. Also, over in that area, we are blessed to have our dear friends at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Todd and the whole crew, my goodness sakes, they know all about life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits. They are dedicated to every day serving you and helping you and your family, your business, and they're there. Easy and accessible. All you have to do is call the number and make an appointment, 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Wheels, do we have our guest on the phone?
Yes, sir, we do.
All right, thank you very much. I'm really interested in picking the brain of this individual about what's going on in the Trump administration and what's going on with Steve Bannon, etc. And I'm very happy to have national media analyst Brian Maloney, editor-in-chief of MediaEqualizer.com. Good morning, Brian. How are you?
Good.
Good. Thanks for having me back on the show.
You are always welcome on this program, and I think to start things off this morning, we are seeing and hearing a 180, kind of a turnaround on the sundial by Steve Bannon about some of the comments that were made in that book, Fire and Fury. Bring us up to speed as to what's going on here.
Well, I think that Bannon is increasingly isolated politically and has lost his main benefactor, Rebecca Mercer, and is looking around for money and for support and trying to figure out where he will go next. And, even though the Michael Wolff book basically takes credit at this point where Wolff is saying, he can't vouch for the validity of what's in it. I mean, that's actually written at the beginning of the book. By the way, WikiLeaks actually keeps the entire book, The Fire and Fury. I don't know if it's still available. For a while, you could actually download it for free last night. They were just being very subversive. So I was looking through the book, and it's incredible. It's basically like a work of fiction. But there must be something to what was reported about Bannon, because Bannon denied any of it and then apologized to Trump. So that part of it seems to ring partly true. And now Bannon is kind of looking around for a friend, and now he's kind of there in short supply at the moment.
Brian, we're having a little trouble with your cell phone as far as coming through. If you could hold it really still, I'd appreciate that.
Better?
Yeah, a lot better. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Yeah, well, hopefully you didn't miss too much of that. But I'm saying that Bannon is essentially, looking around for a friend. And in Washington, as Ronald Reagan said, when you need a friend, get a dog. So,
well, Brian, let me ask you this: what about the people on the left that have come out in condemnation about Trump, calling him a spoiled child because they said in the left this morning in some of the newspapers that he's trying to eliminate and take away the First Amendment of Michael Wolff and some others that want to portray what they think are the facts in the White House. Hey, a lie is a lie. Why shouldn't it be stood up and shown in bright light? And why can't Trump go after Michael Wolff and call him what he is, a liar and a fraud?
Well, I think it depends on the approach. The best way to do that is to shout them down and say, call them out on the lies, just as you've said. What I didn't think was a good idea was to try to shut the book down through legal channels and try to prevent it from being published.
Yeah.
Because that only increased interest in the book and made the left even more apt to go buy it, which led to the publisher moving up the publishing date by 4 or 5 days to beat any kind of potential court order, which never would have occurred because there is a First Amendment in this country. And, the bottom line is it's very difficult to prove, in terms of libel against, a political figure. So the legal channels weren't going to go anywhere there. But what I do like about Trump is that he fights back. And this is probably from watching Bush over 8 years, just sit back and take it. It's like what I can't stand about the Bushes is the way they just sit back and let the left punch them over and over and over and play dead and, beg them to stop. It's just that lack of backbone. So Trump always fires back against his enemies, and he's ruthless about it. And really, it is a positive quality. I know that people cringe or whatever, but, there's a lot to be learned from the way he behaves.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you, because you're close to these situations and you're well versed in these situations, what about the left's new kind of an offensive approach in their playbook to go after the mental stability of Donald Trump? I know that an article that appeared in our local paper this morning that was written by Washington Post columnist Jennifer Rubin, it was 3 straight great big long columns about how Trump should be replaced because he's a zombie, he doesn't know what he's doing, and everybody else has to basically guide him through a 24-hour day.
Right, and the problem with that is they're basing that entirely on a fake book. And, the bottom line is, why isn't Trump behaving that way in public? Now, what you can say is, well, Trump, sometimes is, Trump's not erratic in public. Trump is just shooting from the hip in public. There's a big difference between that and mental instability. And what is fascinating to me is that the same people calling for Trump to be removed from office are this morning touting President Oprah Winfrey for 2020, who is someone who has, Oprah has a lot of known psychological issues. She is deathly afraid of climbing stairs, even one stair. She will not climb a single one. Even a slightly elevated, she has to have people carry her up. I mean, this is a person who couldn't be more out of touch. Is giving us this, ovation, this speech last night about what's fair and right and just in the civil rights movement. She's a billionaire with a staff of dozens and dozens helping her through her day, living in mansions. Couldn't be more detached from any of that if she tried. To see her as the solution, who, by the way, was a close friend of Harvey Weinstein's and who obviously knew what Weinstein was doing and even introduced women to Harvey Weinstein, and there are photos of this taking place that have already been all over the internet today, and that's who they see as their solution. So Hollywood and the left and the Democrats, they don't have a leg to stand on.
Okay, but when the left says, and I've heard it about 10 times already this morning, Brian, she basically is a self-made billionaire, as purportedly Donald Trump was, so they're on equal footing in trying to stick their persona in the Oval Office as the president. They said this morning, many people were saying, she's probably got more attributes and more wherewithal to be the president than he does. How would you respond to that?
Well, that's what's amazing about this. One billionaire is okay and the other is not. And so, the hypocrisy here, because they're essentially trying to elevate someone in the presidency who is a lot like Trump in many ways. Her story has a lot of similarities, and it's also fascinating. I'm sure you've seen the video, but the person who first truly encouraged Trump to run for president was Oprah in the 1980s on her talk show. I don't know if you've ever seen that clip.
Yes, that's true.
She was the one that thought it was a great idea. So I think we're living in truly strange times. We are also living in an era where pop culture has taken over and is definitely taking over politics. And that's why all these future presidential contenders are coming from the ranks of the celebrity world. And so we're moving into weird times here.
Well, let me ask you this part of it then, Brian. I've been around the horn once or twice, and I've been to a couple of dog shows and a county fair, and I'm just saying in my old age, I've been a lot of places. I have never seen or heard the filthiness and the lack of respect for the Oval Office and the presidency as I have that's being given from the left to Donald Trump. It's beyond the pale, especially when I saw that story on ESPN the other night of the two commentators and one being a woman. Absolutely every other word was the F word against Donald Trump. I've never seen anything like this.
Well, right. The rules, all bets are off. The rules don't apply anymore. There is no civility. But I think what's interesting to watch are these people on the left, who somehow think they can claim higher moral ground, who sat back in Hollywood and watched, women being sexually harassed, children being molested, all kinds of disgusting acts. As long as everybody was furthering their movie careers or whatever, all that was fine. And then now they could turn around like none of that ever happened, scream bloody murder about Trump, and then try to bring forward their own candidates. The nerve, and to use an awards show to do it, where all of their ridiculous behavior was on display. So, this is a movement on the left that needs to be shut down. They have no business being involved in any of this. They have no credibility at all.
Well, I want to jump around a little bit, and I know I'm shotgunning here this morning, so please bear with me. But also over the last 4 days, we have seen and heard and witnessed Keith Ellison, Muslim Minnesota representative, that has come out. He's the number 2 man in the DNC right now, and that scares me. Come out holding a book of support for Antifa, which is nothing more than chaotic violence in this country. Holy cow. Is that what the Democratic Party is going to adhere to?
Well, I think that it is. But the problem is you have a complacent media who is going to sit back and just make sure that isn't reported. So you're not going to hear about things like that. We have, and I think what they're pandering to there with a move like that is, radical campus activism. We've allowed our college campuses to be taken over by absolute lunatics, and we're paying those professors, 6-figure salaries with taxpayer funds, so that they can preach Antifa and disorder and chaos and even violence. Antifa and violence go hand in hand. So it really shouldn't be surprising. But what I do find interesting is, we have all these predictions. I mean, you've heard it nonstop of this huge Democratic wave that will hit this November and knock every Republican out of office. But when you look back, though, I mean, step back and look at who their candidates are and their ideas and try to figure out how that's going to happen. I mean, I'm not saying I'm happy with the Republican Party because I think they've let us down as conservatives on so many issues so many times. And I'm not saying the GOP leadership is very strong. I would love to remove the GOP leadership in Congress with some fresh blood. But the Democrats have really nothing to offer except for the same tired, answers, which really aren't answers at all. And then trying to, divide a wedge through all these different groups. So I think what you're seeing Ellison do there is exactly that. Get the campus kids riled up again, because Hillary failed to do that. Bernie did that really well last time around. So they're trying to get, the upper hand on that right away.
Will this book put out by Michael Wolff and the responses that have been heard and listened to by CNN, MSNBC, and others, and Mr. Bannon's career, are all these going to be a smokescreen that's going to dissipate in the next week, or is this something that's going to stay here and labor here for a long time?
Well, some of it will inevitably fade because, as you know now, the news cycle is such that things vanish. I mean, 58 people were shot in Las Vegas, and we never got answers, so we never heard a thing about it anymore. I mean, that's the news cycle we have today. It's horrible. But at the same time, some of these things are going to linger in the background or form the foundation of this continuing effort to remove Trump from office, by, as you point out, by declaring him unfit for the presidency, based on rumors and books, and people with agendas and people on the other side of the ideological fence. So they're going to try to actually pull that off based on nothing, other than they don't like Trump's tweets. So this will continue. They're building that, and they will continue that momentum. The left, they never give up. The left, they are ruthless. They are relentless. And conservatives have never been that way. We have never been. We just go back to our day jobs or whatever. And in the end, that is going to cost us the country if we don't change that attitude permanently. We can't do that anymore. That has failed us. And that is why, as I've mentioned before, we have formed a group, the Media Equality Project. I don't know if you've seen us on Fox. Melanie Morgan and I co-founded the group. But we have a Facebook group called Stop the Scalpings. And last time I was on, some of your listeners did join, and I appreciate that. But it is called Stop the Scalpings, one word. I know it has a funny name. But I would love for the rest of your listeners to join this time, because we'd love to have you aboard there at Stop the Scalpings, and our website, MediaEqualizer.com.
Why don't you elaborate just for a minute here quickly about what basically the general theme or storyline of what you're trying to do is and how you're trying to promote it?
Well, we're trying to change the conservative mindset from one of complaining about what's wrong and to actually fighting back proactively. And so we have undertaken various events. We've only been in existence since last April, and we've already sponsored and undertaken a number of different media events. We've had thousands of people in active roles contacting advertisers of CNN, and complaining about their programming. When Fox was under fire, we had thousands of people contacting their advertisers and making sure they didn't drop that programming, which some of them were doing. So we've had a lot of different things we've undertaken. We went to Senator Al Franken's office and demanded he resign. Melanie and I brought Bill Clinton's rape victims with us, Kathleen Willey, Juanita Broderick. We brought them with us. We had about 10 or 12 people. I was the only guy there. And we entered Franken's office, and Franken hid behind a door, and all that was shown on Fox News. I don't know if you saw the video, but it was amazing. What happened in the office there. They called the police, tried to have us arrested. So those are the kinds of activities that we're undertaking at Stop the Scalpings on Facebook. And we have many, many more that are in the planning stages for this year. So we really need absolutely everyone to be involved with what we're doing, because we have that critical election coming up in November, and we don't want to lose what we've gained here, because I think if we lose November's election, I think we lose the battle to stop and turn back political correctness forever. I think that we go down that path permanently and we never get out of it. And it's so ridiculous how far the left has taken this at this point.
Well, and you almost took the next question right out of my mouth, because I was going to ask you, in this land of opportunity, this land of freedom, the United States of America, the greatest country ever, can good, honesty, and integrity start to prevail again, or is it a has-been?
Well, I think as long as the left still has control over the media, still has control over entertainment and pop culture, I think they're still really calling the shots, as we saw last night. Look at how quickly they were able to create an Oprah presidency out of thin air that didn't exist 24 hours ago. They're still running things, and it's not just the deep state, which they do still have as well, but they're still running society as a whole. They're still calling the shots in corporations. I mean, our companies are more politically correct than ever. They're running Silicon Valley, which is total control over our lives now, our phones, our devices, everything. They're watching everything that we do. They're listening to us, talking to our family members through our phones, and then sending us advertising based on what was talked about. I mean, it's creepy what's going on out there. We have so much to fight. And if we don't get to work now, I think it absolutely will be too late. There's not much time left.
Let me ask you one final thought, speculative type question here, Brian, but tonight President Trump is said that he is going to go on the floor of the Georgia Dome before the game between Georgia and Alabama for the NCAA championship and possibly lead people into our national anthem. And I make a speculative type answer before you answer that this is going to bring the house down. I know there won't be any kneeling. I know that everybody's just going to be in raucous approval. What are your thoughts about this political move by Donald Trump to be there?
Well, I think that, what we've seen with Trump is that he is a master of, well, first of all, he's a social media master. He's also a master of what we might refer to as political stunts. But I'm not going to say that that's a stunt per se, but it's in the spirit of that kind of thing. I think it's a genuine gesture. I think you're absolutely right in that it will work perfectly. But it is exactly, I think that, I'll make the point again that I made earlier about Bush. I think it came from Trump watching Bush for 8 years not know how to respond to constantly being attacked and saying, screw it, I'm going to do things exactly the opposite. And that has been the Trump presidency so far. I don't know about you, but it was torture living through those 8 years of Bush and watching him get beat up every day and feeling like, why don't you stand up for yourself ever? Why you just sit there? But there was an attitude on the right for a long time that if you ignore your left-wing enemies, they will go away. I still run into conservatives here and there who will say, oh, just ignore the left. They don't matter. Well, they do matter. They do run things, and we do have to stand up. So Trump gets that. So I hope that he is busy converting conservatives, anyone that was still in the mindset that we could ignore liberals and they would go away. I hope that goes away forever. That has failed us so badly over the years. Whenever I hear that from anyone on the right, I go ballistic. I can't stand hearing that. It's wrong.
Absolutely, and kudos to you. Brian, you're always welcome on this program. Brian Maloney, editor-in-chief of MediaEqualizer.com. God bless you, man. Come back soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very interesting conversation, and a good guy, Brian Maloney, and I appreciate him for being on our show this morning and talking about quite a few different subjects, from Steve Bannon all the way down to the president being in Atlanta tonight for the college football championships. Oh, the weather. Yes, I've got to get that on real quick. Don't forget Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company sponsoring our weather this hour. They've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. That's right, the best of tax return preparation, tax planning, financial statement preparation, retirement planning. All of us need to check on that, believe me. And they've got two great locations to serve you in Burley and Rupert. They are the best. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
We are expecting some precipitation this week. Here is your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch. We are looking at mostly cloudy skies today. A little bit on the breezy side. Winds around 10 miles an hour out of the east. High of 48. Tonight, we do have an 80% chance of rain showers in the forecast of about 36. That's going to carry over for tomorrow with a high of 46. Rain and snow showers likely for tomorrow night. It's going to be breezy as well. Low of 30. And that might carry over for Wednesday. Breezy, slight chance of maybe snow showers and mostly sunny skies for Wednesday afternoon with a high of 37. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Gina, thank you. You do a great job. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company sponsoring our weather. And as I said earlier, they've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. And believe me, they can help folks starting a business or a partnership or businesses that maybe have questions about expansion, hiring more employees. Get a hold of them today. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, bringing you the weather on Zeb at the Ranch. I've got time for a quick phone call. Give me a jingle on the landline, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Love to hear from you. Once again, I want to mention that we're going to do something kind of fun on Wednesday and talk to a gentleman by the name of Bob Terry. And Bob was on television here recently. He was on a network called Ride TV. For those that really are into equines and horse activities, that's one of the networks I really enjoy. And he is a Western aficionado. If you remember the good old days of Roy Rogers and Hopalong Cassidy and Bonanza and of all the old Westerns and everything, he knows all about the old Westerns. He knows all about the horses they rode. And he's going to be on 10:30 on Wednesday, so don't miss that. Bob Terry on Wednesday. Caller, quickly, I've got time for one call. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air. Quickly.
Good morning, Zeb. I'm sorry I didn't hear you say that. I was calling in to find out when we're going to do Lunch Bunch. I've had 2 or 3 people call me and ask me.
Lunch Bunch will be on January the 25th, and there you have it, right straight from the horse's mouth.
And the other horse gave it to me that day, too, and that was Eddie DeNoggle.
Well, see, Eddie is a sharp cookie.
That's when it would be.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll get off. You have a wonderful day. May the Lord bless you and all your children out there.
All right. Thanks, Jerry. Appreciate you. Yes, Lunch Bunch is going to be on January the 25th. Put that on your calendar, please. We're going to send it back over to Wheels and our main studio here in just a couple of minutes, a couple of seconds, I should say. Coming up next hour, we've got Jeff Cantor coming on, talking about health care, talking about Obamacare, talking about all kinds of different ways that companies are trying to fight the high cost of health care. And then at 10:30, we're going to have one of my favorite guests, Dan Perkins, on the air talking about our national security, and that also involves our oil production. All of this coming up on the next hour, Zeb at the Ranch. Don't go away. Wheels, it's all yours. Oh, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome back to Zeb at the Ranch, brought to you by, of course, our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, serving you for some really mighty mean wintertime driving, I'll tell you. They can help, they will help at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. And also our big thanks go out to some of our great advertisers, like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue in Burley. Don't forget, they can help you get back to being you. They are the best. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. We have a segment on Thursdays that I'm pretty proud of because it's been so successful, and that, of course, is a great big tribute to all the people that are on that program. And it's called School Days in Cassia County, and we've got 2 sponsors we want to acknowledge. They've been with us for a long time for that segment. A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley, with all the clothing for the kids and the furniture for the little ones and the games and the toys and the puzzles vehicles. They've got everything. It's a family store at A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley. And also our thanks go out to the Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland Street in Burley. And, of course, we say thank you for your outpatient surgeries. Please call them. They can save you money. 677-8888. That number again, 677-8888. Ambulatory Surgery Center and A Child's World, bringing you on Thursdays at 10:10, school days in Cassia County. Right now, we're going to go to the phone line, and I'm really looking forward to our conversation with this gentleman talking about insurance, Obamacare, its failures, and maybe a bright light at the end of the tunnel where businesses could band together and create their own insurance network. Jeff Cantor, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. How are you?
Well, I'm great, but I think, to be fair and honest with you this morning, and Wheels over at the station, we've got a little feedback I need you to watch for. Jeff, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do and who you work for before we get into this thing.
All right. Well, we've got HealthExcellencePlus.com out there for consumers, and that's a tool. It's basically a replacement for Blue Cross or anything else you're using to do your health insurance. And the idea is, though, that the difference is it puts you in control. Instead of being top-down like everybody else, this is a bottom-up approach. So it's really putting you back in control of your own health care so you're able to make good decisions. And then concurrently, we help people do the shopping. So if they're looking to try to find a better price medication or maybe a better price procedure or find a new doctor, we're going to help assist them in that respect. And then we're also going to allow you to get outside the United States when it comes to medications, because a lot of U.S.-based programs only force you to buy domestically, and sometimes the prices are better in other countries. So it's kind of putting everyone back in the driver's seat for a change, because what we're telling everyone is unless you take back control of healthcare in America, everyone else is just going to take you to the cleaners.
Absolutely. Jeff, I'm going to sound a little callous when I say this, but so be it. I'm used to taking a lot of physical or verbal abuse, I should say. But, you know, not everybody in this country deserves, in my opinion, to have their health insurance. And because there's a lot of people that have failed to stand up for themselves and be responsible, have their own job, try to create their own safe environment for their family and for themselves. However, that being said, with the government getting involved the way it is and to the extent it is today, are we ever going to solve a problem that is growing like a cancer?
Well, it comes back to what I just said a moment ago, is if we keep trying to go to anybody else, be it a company, a government, or whatever, and I don't care if it's with your health care or your retirement or anything for that matter, you're shifting the responsibility to others. You're making the assumption, well, now that I've bought this homeowner's insurance, I don't need to take care of my house anymore, because if it burns down, somebody's going to, replace it for me. So it's a bad precedent to set, but it's even worse when it comes to your health, because you're impacting your health multiple times a day just by eating. And so you really need to be the master of that destiny. And the other side of that coin is when you made that comment, if the government or anybody else gets involved, well, how's that going to make any cheaper? One, they're going to want to be in control,
That's
for one,
right.
So it decimates what I just said. But secondarily, it's like if I had my doctor and I see them and I pay them, it's 1-to-1. But if I have to have somebody in between, well, they need to make money, and the next thing you know, the whole thing spins out of control. So every approach they're taking right now is the wrong approach. We just need to go back to the consumer-driven approach, and things will certainly take care of themselves pretty readily thereafter.
You know, in some of the stories that I've been reading about healthcare, and I really relish the idea of small businesses banding together to offer health insurance to their workers, and then also maybe the possibility of individuals that could band together. Me, my neighbor down the road at another ranch, etc. Maybe we could have our own little so-called group insurance program. Is that out of the realm of possibility?
No, in fact, that's a little bit of what that legislation is trying to accomplish, to break down some of these barriers that artificially keep people locked in a specific county or in a set state type of thing. And then every business is supposedly on their own 2 feet. So if you've got thousands of employees, that makes it simple. But if you only have a half a dozen or so, that's going to make it tough. So, yeah, that's the approach to take, and it's, in fact, exactly what we're doing in our setup, because we're utilizing the idea of medical cost sharing. And so that way everybody is basically together in a singular group, which allows us to share the costs and disperse it out across a lot of individuals, but without adding a lot of overhead and
profit interference between those functions. And then similarly, we'll do that with companies too. So this is going to kind of foster more of a broad-based approach to it, but it's something we've already been doing for a while.
Well, God bless you and what you're trying to do, Jeff, but I was talking to a doctor on Friday, and he is extremely worried that we've jumped over the abyss, and he's afraid that the next step is going to be single-payer insurance. How close to that problem do you think we are?
Well, we certainly have a big rush to that. I mean, the fact that Trump showed up kind of threw a little bit of a monkey wrench in that, because had Hillary gotten in, we'd have persisted down that path. And when I say single payer, their mentality of single payer and everybody else's in the company side are two different things. So single payer probably would look a lot more like Medicare, where there's a government program and then there's private companies that match up to that. But it's kind of de facto because the government gets to be the kingmaker. They dictate which companies get to participate, and they all control what they're allowed to offer. So they're not even being creative or anything. They're just trying to mimic whatever that matchup is to Medicare. And that idea is where it could go with this regular health care in our country.
Jeff, how close are we in this country right now? And I really don't know the answer to this. With all the different private companies in different states, etc., how many are left and how viable are they? I mean, can we have the sake of competition start back up in this country, or is it too late?
Well, we can, but it won't happen in the venue it is right now. The companies that remain standing are extremely strong, especially if you look at their stock returns and their pricing and so on. So they've consolidated nicely. They've made out very well during this Obamacare situation, whereas the general consumer has really just suffered endlessly, and the doctors are suffering too. They're just getting cut out or overloaded or cut back on reimbursements, and so everyone is kind of suffering. That's the consumer and the doctor side of the equation. But if we keep trying to persist with that methodology, we're going to fail. So it really comes down to the idea that people, you're not obligated to go to the grocery store. You can go to the farmer's market. So if you as the consumer start to patronize those private doctors, those direct primary or DPC doctors, you go to the independent MRI facilities, to the independent labs. If you find a holistic or naturopathic doctor and not go to a hospital-based doctor, there's plenty of stuff available right this second today to everyone listening, but they have to take responsibility and they need to be proactive about it. If they do, then guess what? The industry will either fall away by the wayside because all the customers disappeared, or they're going to be obligated to compete in a way that we prefer. If we say, look, I only go eat at this particular restaurant, every other restaurant should go, look at the menu at that place. We better add those same items onto our menu so we can get those people back. So we control where healthcare goes. Not some politician, we control it. But we need to understand that.
Let me ask you this, Jeff, and I'm sure it's a question that you've been asked before, but why not the doctors themselves or a group of doctors like orthopedic surgeons in the same office space or GPs, whatever the case might be? Why couldn't they start their own conglomerate of health care and provide it to their patients as kind of a group insurance policy?
Well, it's a little tough because they don't really want to be in the insurance business. They'd rather be a doctor. And so that's sort of what's been de facto happening when you take your own responsibility, because if I have a primary doctor and then I need a nutritionist or whatever, that's part of what our mechanism helps that doctor get cocooned with other purveyors in their marketplace, and they become kind of organically develop a team. And this way, none of them have to get involved in the payment side of it. All they want to do is get paid. So that's the challenge for them trying to get out of their lane. It's like anything. Would you rather the doctor working with patients or sitting around blogging or posting on Facebook all day? They kind of have to pick a lane and get in it. And so we're trying to foster the idea where the doctors can concentrate on what they're doing and the patients can concentrate on themselves, and kind of the rest of it's sort of handled in a way that they control, but they don't have to be involved in it directly.
Will this administration in this next year, 2018, do you think there will be any approaches to the repeal of Obamacare, or are they just going to let the corpse lay in the middle of the street?
I think it's going to lay in the middle of the street, frankly, because a lot of it has to depend on the 2018, elections. So the Democrats are going to not try to participate in anything on the run-up to those elections, because why would they want to look like they're helping out in any way, shape, or form? And then, depending on what they actually occurs, then I think at that point things will start to get serious one way or the other. Either they're going to just completely neglect it because they've got the upper hand, or the balance is there, or maybe they don't fare so well in the 2018s and the Republicans expand their lead, well, then they probably will take another run at it if they can get the upper hand themselves.
With what you see every day and study in your business with healthcare, Jeff, are you seeing doctors want to get out of the industry? Are you seeing a lack of students go through the university process to want to become doctors? Are you seeing a slowness in research and new people getting involved in research? What really is going on in healthcare here in the United States today?
You know, sadly, a lot of what you said is actually occurring. A lot of good doctors are pulling out because it's just become intractable and too difficult, and it's like the heck with it. But there goes all that brain power and talent, so we lose all of that. I have had many a doctor tell me that they tell their own kids, don't become a doctor, become a welder. It's less stressful and you'll make more money. So that's not a good inducement. And then, you know, everything is kind of geared towards teaching to the test, as it were. So, you know, there's money in pharmaceuticals for meds you take for life, not for ones you take for a couple months to recover. So all of the systems are becoming perverted in a fashion that are not conducive to the stuff that's going to be good for me. On the other side of the coin, where you see the growth, is in the naturopathic, homeopathic, functional medicine, and bioregulatory realm, where more and more people are figuring out, I got to work on my diet and I got to get off these pills. And so there is growth over there. That is growing, although the powers that be have been trying to keep that tamped down because that's not an area they participate in, so that's kind of competition to them. And more people trying to eat better quality foods as a consequence of getting away from GMOs or pesticide-infected stuff, and therefore they're taking control of their health that way. So that's where there is growth in America, which is the exciting part, because that's, you know, the precursor to people wanting to be able to pay for all that stuff. I want to do those things. So now that the audience is there for that aspect, now the payment mechanism that we're doing as an example, and the idea of accessing all these different regular-oriented, consumer-type free market entities is emerging. So it's exciting. You know, it's like the darkest before the dawn kind of a thing.
Let me ask you about the opioid crisis in this country and the prescription drugs that have been absolutely turned into a killer. How bad is the situation in your viewpoint, and is it correctable?
Well, it's extremely bad, and it's definitely symptomatic of the idea of constantly pushing medication on everybody, because the problem is your system has to process all that stuff between all your organs and your kidneys and your liver, and then I'm on this med and that med and this med and this med, and before you know, your system is so overloaded. But the worst is with these opioids because of the addictive nature of them, and you know, doctors are quick to prescribe them even for minor things. So not that they'll give you a ton, but you know, they'll give you half a dozen or whatever, and that kind of gets that person going. There's so many other things that they could do otherwise, but no one's pursuing any of those other avenues typically. And that's the sad reality of it, too. There's no incentive. The doctors are harried. You tell me I'm in pain. Okay, I'll write you this script. Next. And so you can see how it fosters that. But then once the person gets hooked on it, now what are they going to do? If the doctor finds says, look, you're done, they go to illegal drugs.
Yeah.
You can't get rid of the addiction. It's a really disaster.
You know, Jeff, with your expertise in studying healthcare and understanding the pitfalls that are going on in this country with our healthcare and the lack of competition, what about other countries? What's the rest of the world going through right now?
Rephrase that again?
I said, what about other countries and their healthcare programs? Are we the worst, it seems like the media is projecting to everybody, with our healthcare or lack of? What about other countries as far as what they're doing with their healthcare?
Well, we're not the worst, but we're bad as far as how we're spending the money. We're actually one of the top countries in certain respects as far as technology and other aspects of it. But the amount of money that gets spent for what gets done is really obscene. I mean, as a simple example, you know, in the UK, they're having such difficulty because they've tried to do everything. They are that whole single-payer mentality. That recent story was that a person is losing both their eyesight, they'll check one of the two eyes, and whichever is the better eye, they put repair that eye ideally, and they give you a patch for the other one to cut costs. So, you know, when it gets really bad, it starts to fall off the rails. But in others where they have a kind of a mix, where there is some kind of a socialized, like a basic plan, but then they've got the free market side happening, that's where you're seeing innovation, because doctors can get paid what they're worth, and it's advantageous for them to come up with alternative treatments, things that maybe take too long to get approved by the FDA. So, you know, other countries will have those approved right away, and people will travel there to get those treatments. There's a lot of activity. We just need to break up our legislative and administrative logjam here, so we let the outside world come in, because we don't treat like if it isn't invented here, it's not good sometimes.
All right.
And then also, with all these restrictions that we've imposed legislatively, it's virtually impossible to do anything here without being shut down.
Well, and that was the last question I was going to ask you this morning to expand on a little bit. When I've talked to various other doctors that are complaining about Obamacare, complaining about health care in general, their biggest complaint is that they don't feel that they have enough voice in the solving of this problem with the politicians in Washington. What are your thoughts about a lack of involvement of doctors, real bona fide doctors, trying to solve the health care crisis?
Yeah, it's kind of funny you say that, because, the one thing about the doctors when you're describing that is that the people that are making all these decisions, they don't care less what the doctors think or say. Not a bit. They're going to tell the doctors which end is up. And so that really is the biggest challenge by far. So that's exactly what I'm saying needs to take place, is that and the doctors are trying to do this right now, and then we've been trying to facilitate that similarly, is that the doctors and the consumers want to break free. So it's like, well, why don't you two meet each other for a change, and you create your own arrangement, and quit trying to work through these third parties that stand between you and the patient. And again, that's going to take the fix it, Zeb. There's no other fix. Zero. Nothing.
When you look at the overall situation of approximately 360 million people, and after the so-called renovation with Obamacare and to what it is today, we really haven't done a thing to solve the problem or give anyone more coverage, have we?
No. It's just gotten more consolidation, more expensive, more people involved. I mean, look at the level of administration of the hospital. I mean, how complicated it is to walk in and get a knee surgery that requires such an army of people in the back office to make that happen. No, it definitely needs to kind of go back to where it used to be, when everyone talks about indigence and everyone in the street and whatever. A long time ago, we didn't have those problems. We had lodge doctors, they had charitable organizations, they had every kind of thing that took care of the person they couldn't afford for themselves or were unable to take responsibility for themselves, which is a small percentage. But everything's been driven so expensive that now people can't afford it. So first we couldn't afford the hospital, then we need to have insurance to pay for that. Now we can't afford the insurance, and we need a subsidization for that. So no one seems to see, well, what was wrong with what we were doing in the first place? Why did we get so far removed from that? And that's the drive, is to get back to that. But all those entrenched entities, they don't want to give up any of their gravy train. So it's us and the doctors fighting all of them. But guess what? We and the doctors better team up, because they're going to be pretty powerful at keeping us at bay if we don't go kind of around the back door there and reconnect directly with each other.
Jeff, one final time, please tell my audience, if they want more information about you and what you do, give us that information so they can follow it, if you would, please.
Certainly, absolutely. They can go to healthexcellenceplus.com, which is spelled out healthexcellenceplus.com, or you can follow me on Twitter at PatientDocPower, DOC, PatientDocPower, and we'll be able to connect that way for sure.
Jeff, I appreciate it. Jeff Cantor, thank you so much. Please come back in the future.
I shall. Thanks for having me again, Zeb.
Thank you, sir. Very interesting gentleman, and knows all about healthcare, and hopefully has some bona fide solutions that will make it better. It is in a mess right now, in a tailspin, and we need more people like Jeff Cantor to get involved. Very interesting gentleman, and I appreciate him coming on the program this morning. In just a minute, we're going to send it back over to our main studios, and Old Wheels is going to take it for a few minutes. I want to reiterate that in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be expanding the program, not time-wise, but what's in the program. We're going to change a lot of the program to different segments to appeal to certain audiences and certain people. We're going to have different programs regarding economics, and we're going to have different programs involving your involvement in economic future, all this kind of thing. So we're developing those right now, and your involvement's necessary. If you've got a particular segment or something that we could put together on the radio, whether it's maybe a gardening segment in addition to what we're doing, or maybe it has something to do with animals, or maybe something new politically, just give me a call and we'll put that together for you on Zeb at the Ranch. We're in the process of having some really interesting things. One in particular that I'm excited about, again, this year is going to start next week on Tuesday, and it's going to be every week through the legislative session, and that's going to be our legislative update. That's going to be every week through the session with Speaker of the House Scott Bedke, Senator Kelly Anthon, and Representative Fred Wood, and it's going to be at 9:30 every Tuesday. And tomorrow we're going to tell you who that sponsor of that segment's going to be, and we really appreciate that, as we'll follow what's going on with taxation, education, and all the other interesting entities at the 2018 legislative session in Boise. So that's going to be every Tuesday at 9:30. Be sure and be listening. By the way, Wheels, haven't had a chance really over all last week and everything to wish you a Happy New Year and hope everything goes well for you at the station this year.
Oh, well, thank you, sir. That means a lot. It's going to be already almost 5 years that I've been here.
No, come on.
Yeah, since I was here a year doing the Minico games as a board op, and then I've been with you for already almost the past 4 years.
You got to be kidding me. Has it really been that long? And I'm not trying to be theatrical. I honestly did not know that.
Yeah, no, it really has. Surprisingly, I've been keeping track.
Wow. Well, are you getting a little gray in the beard?
Not yet. But
Okay.
My mom, when I'm at home, my mom will be like, "Hey, dude, I spotted gray hair," and I shouldn't freak out, but at my age, I freak out, and she's like, "Oh, that's not a bad thing." I'm like,
your mother is 100% right, and I would be offended if you said gray hair is a bad thing, because I've got silver hair, not gray hair.
You're a silver fox.
Oh, there you go. I like that. You're protecting your job. Thank you. Hey, we got to take it over to the main studio right now. Wheels is going to take it over from us. We'll be back in about 3 minutes. Don't go away.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you very much and welcome back. Don't forget Keelix supplements for your livestock during the cold winter months. A very important supplement of vitamins and minerals for your livestock, whether it's beef cattle, dairy cattle, sheep, goats, horses, you name it, Keelix can help. They've got a product for every aspect of the livestock industry. Scott Minton, a salesman, call him at 435-230-1175. Call him to help you provide your cattle what they need. Keelix supplements, very important supplements of vitamins and minerals to keep your livestock healthy. Right now, let's go to the phone line to keep everything healthy here on the program this morning. A gentleman that's been on my program many, many times, great author, and, of course, a registered investment advisor, and knows what's going on around the globe, and that's Mr. Dan Perkins. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. I'm fine. Thank you for having me on the show.
You know, Dan, oil production. I am so glad to get an opportunity to talk to someone like you, level-headed, that can explain a lot of things to me. The oil production in this country seems to just be absolutely going off the charts. We've got so many opportunities to have energy finally come to the forefront that we can control instead of some sheikh over in Saudi Arabia. But yet the prices really are not reflecting the multitude of drilling that we have going on to hopefully bring the price down, but it's going higher. How come?
Well, got a couple of things going on. You've got OPEC deciding that they're going to cut production, and they've cut it about 180,000 barrels a day. You got the United States, which is increasing production, is about to go into a territory that it's never been before, and that is producing about 10 million barrels of oil a day. And because of what's happening with the fracking in Texas and in the Dakotas. In addition,
the number of new drilling rigs going into production on a global basis is almost nowhere. I think in the OPEC nations last year there was only one new rig that went out. So that the Middle Eastern nations, the OPEC nations, are not expanding and replacing their wells. They're just pumping what they have because they don't have the money to expand the fields. So we have in addition about a $6 a barrel price differential between West Texas Intermediate crude and Brent North Sea crude, or crude in general. So it's not only cheaper for us, it's cheaper for our customers, and we're adding new customers. And probably the biggest new customer that we've added in the last 12 months is China.
Mm-hmm. Dan, and I'm going to say this, and you might look at your telephone and say, boy, this guy is really a hick from the sticks and he doesn't understand. But are we creating a monster that might rise up and want to have war against us if we take away the only main source of money from the Middle East and the Saudis, etc., and they become minimalized in oil production? Is that creating a world problem?
That's a great question. I don't happen to think that it is. What we're seeing is the redistribution. And as Yogi Berra said, the famous catcher for the New York Yankees, it's deja vu all over again. If I take you back to Jimmy Carter, at that particular time, the United States was dependent on about 65% of its energy supply from foreign nations, like the Middle East and OPEC and thereabouts.
Right.
We have since virtually almost reached the point now, within a relatively short period of time, of becoming energy independent. In fact, we're shipping about 4 million barrels of oil a day out all over the world. However, in the period of time for Jimmy Carter to now, another economy has grown dramatically, and that is China. And China now is almost exactly where we were under Jimmy Carter, in that they import 65% of their crude oil needs. So they are totally dependent on outside sources for crude oil, and at least for now, the United States seems to be not only a cheaper price by a lot, but also cheaper to ship because it's not as far to go paying shipping charges. And it's more politically stable than many of the Middle Eastern countries that are part of OPEC.
Mm-hmm. But what are your thoughts? I don't mean to pursue this further than necessary, but I want to ask you this. When they have nothing more to send the world, they have nothing else as far as any textiles or anything that they can sell to the rest of the world commodity-wise except oil, what kind of instability and possibly even war might that cause if all of a sudden these people are backed into a corner?
Well, that's another great question. If you look at what's going on in Saudi Arabia, a new king's being appointed. There have been significant arrests of members of the royal family, the princes, and the new king-to-be wants to move the economy away from oil because he thinks that they have been so exposed to so much of their revenue coming from oil that they're vulnerable, just as you talked about. So what he wants to do, the big oil company is Aramco, and they want to bring to the marketplace sometime this year an equity offering, a stock offering, to begin to sell portions of Aramco to the general public on a global basis to generate the capital to begin to further diversify the economy of Saudi Arabia and to move it away from total dependence on crude oil for its source of revenue. They can do that because of the size of their economy, the size of their wealth. Other global and OPEC nations don't have that flexibility. And so it is the lesser OPEC nations that are probably more likely to be in trouble.
Okay. We have a caller with a question for you, Dan. Stand by. Caller, please go ahead. You're on the air. Thank you.
Thanks, Zeb. I asked Dan if he said there is a couple of million barrels being shipped from the United States, which means that we're very close to being totally independent, and yet our prices are still going up. And I don't see any way that that's going to come down. I just can't see it. So ask him if this is a trend of the future where we're going to have to pay higher and higher and higher, even though we are independent, or is this oil that's going abroad going to bring a revenue back that's going to lower our prices here at home?
Very good question, sir. Thank you very much. Dan, would you respond to the caller, please?
Sure, I'd be happy to. The caller is right. As we expand the production of oil in the United States, and it becomes a bigger and bigger export item, it's going to do a bunch of things. One, it's going to put people to work in developing our natural resources. It's going to be very high-paying jobs, which means that the wealth of the country is going to increase. Lots of small businesses are going to be built to support the bigger businesses in developing oil and natural gas reserves in the United States. And because we do have an advantage in terms of profitability, where Saudi Arabia needs about $85 to $90 a barrel to break even, now the frackers can bring oil out of the ground at about $26 a barrel. So the American oil industry can be profitable, and therefore it can control its price. It ships the oil, which turns into money all over the world, taking market share away from OPEC. And what's going to happen is that our economy is going to expand as we expand the resources of producing oil and natural gas in our country, and then not only use them to build our stuff. You know, one of the things that I really need to point out here, Zeb, is that most of the European nations are dependent upon foreign oil, Russian and primarily Russian oil and natural gas for their survival. And we have already told many of the European nations, we'll bring it over to you in tankers and liquefied natural gas. So that if you get into trouble, we can supply you with oil and natural gas as opposed to Russia. What happens though when we do that is that we gain tremendous leverage and tremendous power, because the amount of revenue that these OPEC nations are going to generate diminishes, and as a result, they're going to have less and less money to fund terrorism.
Right. Dan, there's another entity or another grouping, if you will, that I'm concerned about, and a lot of people would just slough it off, but I'm still concerned about the power and the money that they have, and that's the environmental movement in this country. How much are you afraid of the Tom Steyers and others as to becoming a fly in the milk?
Well, another good question. Look what Trump is doing. He's now opening up drilling not only in Anwar, which was part of the bill that was signed. Most people don't know that. They thought it was just a tax bill, but it was more than a tax bill. And now he's talking about lifting the ban on ocean drilling on America's borders. I think that there are things that are going on that I'm aware of that I can't speak to you about yet. But there are things going on that are going to dramatically change the burning of fossil fuels on a global basis that's being originated in the United States, which could virtually eliminate CO2 emissions. In doing that, you take away the left's position of CO2 in oil and natural gas and coal.
Is it a transition, Dan? And I'm not trying to pursue a direct answer on this, because if you can't say it at this time, I'll wait for a future program. But is it a transition that would be affordable to the transportation industry over a period of years, or would it all of a sudden be heaped upon them cold turkey to where it might be devastating as far as their costs are concerned?
I have to think about how I can answer that. I would say to you, Zeb, based on what I know at the moment, it is possible that we can eliminate the CO2 from coal emissions and from diesel fuel at a fraction of what they're trying to do with now.
I
today.
see.
A fraction of it.
I see.
There's technology being delivered, for example, being developed that I'm aware of that could reduce 80% of the CO2 emissions from an automobile, both old and new, with a simple modification.
Oh, my.
So there's a lot of stuff going on right now that have implications to the whole CO2, greenhouse gases, this whole area that you're talking about that the left is not aware of and is going to find themselves devastated when this technology comes out.
We have another caller with a question. I'm sorry to keep you waiting, caller. Go ahead, please, quickly.
Thank you, and I appreciate Dan answering that first question. Now, the second question I got rolled on that. When we begin exporting and we begin competing with the arid petroleum countries, can he see how that's going to affect our petroleum dollar? And are they going to remove the U.S. dollar as the petroleum dollar and go to something else because of the standing that we will assume in the world?
You know, that's a very good question. Dan, would you respond to the caller, please?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Right now, I believe that the demand for global energy, and if what I'm hearing is correct, that we have a way to use fossil fuels, coal, natural gas, oil, in creating energy in this country and for the world, and we can do it to eliminate greenhouse gases and CO2 emissions, we are going to be the strongest economy in the world, and we will have the strongest currency. And petrodollars are going to be U.S. dollars, not anything else.
Okay, now, Dan, one worry I've got, and I'm almost out of time, and I'm sitting here kind of researching in my mind some of the things I wanted to ask you about this problem, and I'm looking at 2018 where the Democrats are saying, well, we're going to try to take back the House and the Senate, all this balderdash, etc. Okay, what happens if they do? Are all of these energy innovations going to be trashed and thrown in the closet? What are your thoughts about that?
The only way that could happen is, regardless of whether they take the House and Senate or not, the only way that they can be trashed is if in 2020 there's a Democrat elected as president.
Yeah. And
so I don't particularly see that happening. I don't agree with the Democrats. I mean, if you really listen to what you said, and I'm not criticizing you, and I've written about this, the Democrats think they're going to take back the House and the Senate. And the question really becomes on how are you going to do it?
Right.
Based on the impeachment of Donald Trump, based on collusion, neither one of those creates any jobs. And I'm telling you, we're going to see probably north of 4% gross domestic product in 2018. And when we get to the midterm elections, the people are going to look at what party put money in their pockets, not the Democrats, the Republicans. So I think we're going to be sitting on election night and deja vu all over again. The people are going to ask, how could this happen? We were supposed to win back the House and the Senate. How is it we lost even more? Mark my words.
You know, Dan, I just really look forward to having you on every single program that you're available. Thank you. And great author, great energy advisor and investment advisor. Thank you, Dan Perkins. Please come back soon.
Anytime, sir.
Thank you. Care. God bless. Thank you very much. Boy, I'll tell you what, that man knows what's going on. Dan Perkins, a registered investment advisor, and he's been connected with the oil industry for quite some time, knows exactly what's going on, and he's a great author. He's got a series of books, and I'm just in the process of trying to get those started. Dan Perkins, thank you very much for being on the program. We've got to get a weather forecast on here now before Wheels says, Zeb, look at the clock. Scarrows Meats bringing you the weather this hour at 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657, or you can go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com. Delicious meats, whether it's the sausages or the bratwurst or the bacon or the prime ribs. Oh, my goodness, the list goes on and on. You're going to love all the meats from Scarrows Meats in Jerome. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
We are expecting some precipitation this week. Here is your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch. We are looking at mostly cloudy skies today, a little bit on the breezy side. Winds around 10 miles an hour out of the east, high of 48 tonight. We do have an 80% chance of rain showers in the forecast of about 36. That's going to carry over for tomorrow with a high of 46. Rain and snow showers likely for tomorrow night. It's going to be breezy as well, low of 30, and that might carry over for Wednesday. Breezy, slight chance of maybe snow showers and mostly sunny skies for Wednesday afternoon with a high of 37. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. Brought to you by Don Scarrow and the crew at Scarrow's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657. They are at Scarrow's Meats, changing the way we eat one delicious bite at a time. It's good at Scarrow's Meats. Oh, my goodness. I want to remind you, too, about our dear friends at Hanson Mortuary. Oh, my goodness, Joel Heward and the rest of the crew at 710 6th Street in Rupert. Joel, of course, with his family and his staff, serving you and your family. When there's the passing of a loved one, they are there to help, and they will help. All you need to do is call the number 436-5636. They always treat you and hold the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Please remember that number, 436-5636, Hanson Mortuary in Rupert. And don't forget Joel Heward also serving you at Morrison Payne on East Main in Burley. Thank you very much. Wow, we've got a busy week. Now, tomorrow is kind of an interesting day. If I were to sit here and tell you all the different guests that I have lined up for tomorrow, I can't. You know why? Because the list that I had sent in to some of my people last week on Thursday and Friday to be here tomorrow, like at 9:06, 9:30, and 10:30, they haven't called me back. And I'm getting a little nervous as to the final outcome. I can tell you this much, Dr. History is going to be on the program tomorrow, and that will be at 10:06. And we've got a full plate for the rest of the week with outstanding guests talking about all the various news topics that are in the forefront of the news right now. And again, I want to stress the fact that on the 16th, next week on Tuesday, we're going to start that legislative update, and I'm really looking forward to it this year. A lot of great people, along with Senator Kelly Anthon, Speaker of the House Scott Bedke, and Representative Fred Wood, going to really make that program interesting as to what's going on in the mechanics of politics here in the state of Idaho. Our major sponsor for this program, and I really, really appreciate them and all that they do, all 7 locations of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. And we're talking people that really know tires. We're talking people that really know safe winter driving, the tread design for your respective outfit or automobile, and what's going to get you through all the snow, the ice, the muck, and the yuck. Well, they've got all the tires, all the tread designs for the cars, the pickups, the SUVs. All you need to do is just stop in and see them today. We're not out of the woods by any means, and winter, it's going to come and hit us pretty quick. You can bet on that. Tire chains, they've got the best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts, and batteries, all of this and more with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. Doing the right thing matters, and they do the right thing at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Woo! Busy day. Calls are welcome. I've got time for a phone call. Give me a jingle on the landline. Love to hear from you. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I wrote about this in my blog this last weekend, and I'm going to say it on the air this morning, too. Folks, with the winter hours of daylight diminishing in a big hurry at dusk, why in the world would you want to take a chance on not being seen and not have your headlights on? The other day, I was headed into Burley. and a gentleman ahead of me evidently didn't have his lights on at all, and he turned in front of another vehicle, and it was oh so close. And really, it was a dark-colored car and no lights on at dusk. What is the matter with you people? Turn your lights on. I'm in favor of having the lights on 24/7, and it's so hard to see at dusk as it is, and then dark-colored vehicles, and it was as close as you wanted to see a head-on collision. But please, what is the major problem with reaching down, turning your lights on at dusk? For Pete's sakes, keep people safe, sane, and alive. Be careful out there. Tomorrow on the program, we'll start everything off at 8:06 right here on Zeb at the Ranch, and our thanks go into this new year, K-Bar 12:30 a.m., and then streaming live on the internet, zebbell.com, all over the world. Thank you. And, by the way, Cow Pies and Coffee Cups, my blog. All you have to do is go to zebbell.com, click on that you want to have the Cow Pies and Coffee Cups sent to you. Type your address, we'll get it to you. And we'll be back here tomorrow morning at 8:06. For Tuesday edition of Zeb at the Ranch, where we always say the way things were are the way things ought to be. God bless. Have a good day.